already the fact that you're not taken very seriously because you are from the television world. On top of that, you do a role which is far beyond your age. I didn't play a 19-year-old who was in school or junior college. Like usually debutants do. So yeah, that was a big challenge in its own. Like I was always told, you're not hot enough. You need to be hot. You're too young, you're cute. I think you need to do a sexy shoot. All you need to do is a sexy song. We've confronted the filmmaker and said that, in the next 6 days we're supposed to start shooting for you. And we've been told that, because you're not okay with doing a certain song or a certain scene, we've had to replace you. Now we're looking to make the role far more sexier. However, as far as the Bol Bachchan episode goes, I know for a fact that Abhishek, Ajay Devgan, Rohit Shetty, they're all absolute team players. I'm not even going to go as far as talking about title songs, poster shoots, all of these are concerned where sometimes the females are never even included. I'm just talking about at least credits. I think very direct propositions were also made to get cast in a certain film, a big film. But I have outright said no, and even after that director has called me after saying no, I have still said that I'm not interested in your film,
It took me almost a year and a half to pin her down to do an interview with me. So this is my biggest complaint with Prachi Desai. But as a human being, as a person, everybody around loves her. And as an actor, everybody reveres her. Thank God that you have finally come back. Like I know you're tired of the word comeback, but Prachi, I'm happy to see you here. I would have been happier if we did it in person, but and it's okay, COVID restrictions there. But welcoming Prachi Desai in conversation with Bollywood Bubble. Thank you for doing this. Finally.
Thank you for having me on your show. It's genuinely been long overdue, and for some reason, I think when we got down to doing it, I was traveling and you are back home in Kolkata, and I think fate had it this way that
But we must do one more.
Yeah. When we have our coffees in our hands and we're sipping it together,
it's
nothing better than
feeling altogether. Yeah. So, when you started off, how many people actually told you that you should think of something else?
Oh, so honestly speaking, none of us saw this coming. At the age of 17, to get a prime time, protagonist role on a leading channel. Nobody from my family or none of us saw it coming. I was studying in Pune in the 11th to 12th grade. I think I was in the 12th grade. And, all I could think of at that point was my board exams. But here I was, I got this opportunity, and I knew that I always wanted to be an actor. And that's why I said, I don't think I was even given a choice to say yes or no. I was just told that, you are selected for this particular show. And I was like, wow, this is insane, I'm going to get pocket money and I'm going to be on the TV prime time, 9 p.m. I didn't know how tough the job was going to be really, because obviously you don't imagine that, right? You watch your favorite shows, you watch your favorite films, and that's all you ever want to do. But yeah, and then real life starts, and that's pretty cool too.
Your first show was a bumper hit, but with that recognition that you got and the reach that you had in the masses, in the corners and pockets of India that we don't even know of sometimes. There's also pressure when you want to become a film actress. Most of the actors I've spoken to transition from TV. You did it successfully. Let's just put it out there that with films that you did and the choices, you did it successfully. But एक वो baggage होता है लोगों के दिमाग में, TV actress है. How many times have you heard that? Did you see that ever being a problem or a hurdle to pass each test when you joined films?
So I personally feel that I definitely saw that effect and reflect the kind of roles that I was being offered. I was constantly offered the same kind of role in every other film. Because I feel like, I don't know if they did not think that I could do anything else, or if it was just convenient that if this person can do something really well, then let's just have them do it over and over again in all these different films. Because I feel like that makes their work lesser, right? They don't have to work hard on you. They don't have to show you in a different light. You know, you're just going to come on set and you know what to do and you're going to do it well. So yeah, that kind of stuff. I have to be honest, I also saw that reflect a lot in the press, the media, the way that they write about you, the way that the media speaks about you, writes about you. That's so important. And I often saw that. I'll give you an example. When I won an award for Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, it was the Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
I won a lot of the awards. However, I think one of the first ones that I got for the film was in Your Very Own Kolkata. A beautiful award ceremony that they have been having for many years. Yes. There are two of them. And when I did receive the award, I remember I came back to Mumbai and I opened the paper, and for some reason there was a small article and that said that Prachi has won so award for Once Upon a Time in Mumbai. It ended with "Thank God for small mercies." How do you explain that? What is a small mercy about that? So that's the kind of, that's the way that the media or like journalists sort of, I would say, write about you, portray you, and the way that someone keeps constantly writing about you, I feel like that obviously will have an effect on the audience's mind, because they're sort of trying to place you and, figure where you really stand in their, in their viewership. So, yeah.
When you were transitioning from TV to films, your first film was Rock On, which is a cult film. Let's just say that. And not many people, you were so young and you played a mother in the first film. And back then, that whole paradigm shift had not happened, and people can easily box you into, people wanted to box women, especially heroines. Did you face a lot of it? How many times people told you that, you're such a big star on TV, you shouldn't take this up because this has you playing a mother? But you won so many awards for that also. All the best debutante awards, I remember.
Well, that happened a lot. I don't know why at that point people did not see you for the kind of performer, actor that you are, or that they did not applaud you for the kind of challenges you took up. I guess in today's times, that 19-year-old probably would get all the respect and awards and magazine covers and 5 other films. But back then when I did it, now the question was, how are you going to break out of this? As if the responsibility is mine, that I make 10 films for myself and I break out of that image and I show myself in a different light. That's actually how tough it was. So already the fact that you're not taken very seriously because you are from the television world. On top of that, you do a role which is far beyond your age. I didn't play a 19-year-old who was in school or junior college, like usually debutantes do. So yeah, that was a big challenge in its own. And at that time, actually, people weren't that forgiving also. In today's time, I think it's nice because you can still go and do 5 different roles, and if 3 of those don't work, it's okay. You will still get the credit for 2 that you did nicely. Back then, the options were very few, and you had to pick something out of that, or then not do a film for a whole year or whatever that is. And at that point, I'm not even kidding, but the only way you decided what film you want to do was which actor starred in it, who was directing it, which production house was producing it. This is it. That's it. I'm not joking.
But have you taken such decisions? Do you regret them? Because today, like you said, the times are different.
Of course I do. I agree that it would be very unethical to name the films that I regret doing for so many reasons. It's wrong to say something like that. because I only regret it at a very personal level. Not I don't
Professionally, yeah.
Yeah, I don't despise the people I worked with or anything of that sort. It's only that at that point I think that was not the right choice I made for myself.
Yeah.
Everything around it and everybody in it was great. That kind of a thing. But those are the kind of choices I made actually out of exactly this pressure that I'm talking about, where somebody said, oh, you need to sign a film right now, because otherwise people will think that you don't have a film, and then anyway they won't sign you or they won't come to you. These are the kind of things basis which a lot of us actually did films a couple of years ago, and that I think all of that wasn't in a good spirit. And yes, then something I signed just because of the commercial aspect, and again, it's not a film that I should have done. So those are the kind of things that I learned the hard way, obviously after getting into them. But yeah, there definitely have been things that I regret. Yeah.
What were the meanest things ever said to you that literally pinched you? Because no matter how happy you are, people's comments, there are days, right, where it can make you judge yourself. Has there ever been a moment of self-doubt because of what you've heard from people, what people told you?
I think the initial years of my career were only full of self-doubt. I think the debut went off absolutely great. It was after that the challenges started. So getting a break on TV at 17, getting a film break at 19, all of that was magical, and and I didn't see that coming or anything. So that was a huge surprise, and I thought that that's how things work out. When you're that enthusiastic in life, or when you're working hard, and that's how things are going to pan out. But however, after stepping into the real film world is when all the self-doubt started. Nobody ever wanted you to be what you are. Everybody wanted you to be something else. Also, we forget a lot of times that in the film business, people want you to be what only a certain man wants you to be. You're always looked at from a male gaze. And they're always telling you, like I was always told, you're not hot enough, you need to be hot, you're too young, you're cute, I think you need to do a sexy shoot, all you need to do is a sexy song. And I didn't understand this. I was like, but for who should I do this sexy shoot, and for who should I do this sexy song? Don't you see what I'm doing in my films, and that I can act? Why is that? Yeah. Why is that men's magazine shoot so important to you to cast me in a film, which is a family film? This is the problem that I had for so many years initially, and I think, but that was the 19-year-old me, who was hearing all of these things constantly for the sake of being cast in movies, and I don't think it's easy on a 19-year-old to
absolutely, it's not.
Yeah, to constantly be told these things, especially if you're not from the film world
industry. Yeah,
you don't really know what to do, how to go about things. When the media is not kind to you, when within the industry, this is the feedback you're getting. So obviously, it's very difficult to sort of keep your basically your vision straight and decide that I will only do what I'm okay with doing. At the same time, I think I've always, because I've been a little detached also, that's how, because you asked me, that's how I sort of have learned to stay happy. And happiness is a constant effort, let me tell you that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like you spoke about the male gaze and not being from the industry. When you're not from the industry, you also tend to lose out on a lot of opportunities that you really desire for. I'm not just talking about nepotism, I'm talking about any other reason. There are so many reasons why you might lose out on an opportunity, because maybe you didn't want to suck up to people and their perception of you and their expectations of you. How many times have you lost out on a good film project, or have there been moments where you've not been informed and just replaced overnight without even being told?
Yes, I have. I've been announced for films. I've been working out their dates and all of that, and maybe like 6 days before I have to go into shoot, I realized, My manager and I are smart that way. We figure out through other people's Facebook posts congratulating other people, and we realize that we think we have been replaced in this project. That has happened in the past. We found out through somebody's Facebook post that it looks like this is getting into like a messy spot, and then we've confronted the filmmaker and said that in the next 6 days we're supposed to start shooting for you, and we've been told that because you're not okay with doing a certain song or a certain scene, we've had to replace you. Now we're looking to make the role far more sexier. We want to make it a little raunchy or whatever that is. But that's happened in the past for sure. It's happened recently, a couple of months ago also. So it's nothing new to me, and I feel like this a lot of people will sadly go through, because it's like I said, it's not a thing of the past. This just happened a couple of months ago also. Oh, not just this. There was also a very very big film for which I did like a hair trial and all of that, did dates, did give up some other work and did all of that, and then for some reason a couple of days before we were supposed to shoot, I was like wondering why things are not moving, because if the shoot is in the next few days, then we need to hurry up on certain things that are required in the prep, and that's when from a third person we got to know that this is probably not working out, because this role was probably scrapped off for technical reasons in the movie. And all of these experiences that I'm talking about, whether I was replaced, whether it got written off, whether we got to know from somebody else, none of these filmmakers had the decency to call or message me and tell me that this is not happening. We found out through whatever other sources or after confronting them. So I feel like the least you deserve is some decency, because you've given them so much of your time. Tomorrow if I hire you for a job and you have left 500 other things so that you can be on this job, the least I can do is call or message you. If it's too awkward to call, at least just message the person and say that this is not happening, you can release your dates for something else, or in the most basic way, at least let them know. So I think not informing, they say na वैसे तो बड़े मर्द बनते हैं, but when it comes to work, they are not even man enough to send you a small message or a call. Absolutely. So that I think these are the ethics that people often show you in this film industry. That happens a lot. So that's where all of this replacing and all of that, I've been through it all.
but you've come out of it stronger. I really want to applaud you, because you're one of those few. बहुत लोग होते हैं जो एक fear में जीते हैं कि मैं इनसे बगावत करूं तो maybe things will stop. I love how you tackle the whole sexism debate. I remember this very well. It was actually, if you are a part of a film, if they're celebrating a film anniversary, you ought to be named, because I think I loved you in that film. I'm talking about Bol Bachchan. I remember your tweet. There is an inherent sexism in the industry at large, and kudos to you for calling it out. But how many times have you been through it? That was the one time when we saw you fighting it out. But how many times have you been through it?
I think been through it a lot. It's over the years that you sort of, after noticing and living through it a lot, is when you realize that this is a pattern. It could be an unintentional pattern, it could be intentional. Sometimes it's just taken for granted that it doesn't matter if you if a certain person is not invited, or if they're not mentioned, for example, and that happens a lot. So I feel like, which is why there comes a point when you probably say something or call it out. However, as far as the Bol Bachchan episode goes, I know for a fact that Abhishek, Ajay Devgan, Rohit Shetty, they're all absolute team players, because I know, how we all felt while we were shooting the film. It was like a big jing bang.
Family,
family. Which is why I think I was also really comfortable just tweeting to my co-star that, hey, you forgot. But that sort of also, made me realize a lot of things, that a lot of people probably felt the same way, because the kind of response or the reactions that came to it were a plenty. And that goes to show that whether it's your regular offices, whether it's any other field, any industry, whether it's India or outside of India, I think women are still fighting for their spot, for their position, and it's just as basic as acknowledgement, of your name or your title. I'm not even going to go as far as talking about title songs, poster shoots, all of these are concerned, where sometimes the females are never even included. But I'm just talking about at least credits. Yeah.
I remember Anushka and Deepika talking about the disparity in an interview, and they said, despite being such big, huge stars, they said that, they don't say it, but you can feel it in the little things they do. The male star will get a bigger room, a more spacious van, a bigger pay, despite the roles being similar on similar grounds. Have you been through that as well? Like that kind of a setup where you've seen these things?
I'm still going through it. Day in and day out, I'm still going through it. It is still the same. It's now come to a point where we have such a basic requirement list that, if we sign on for this film, can you just have these basics for us? Because, as being a girl or a female, this is the least that we just require, and we're not even asking you for the stars or the moon,
Yeah.
Can you just look after these small little, things that just put us in a more comfortable position when, for example, when we have to travel for shoot or all of that. And I don't know why it is so difficult for people to understand. You've named, some of the biggest in the industry, whether it was Deepika, Anushka, they've all told you the same things. It's not just us, it's them, it's everyone who's probably, going through it. And you'll be surprised, Nandi, but it's the basics that they don't understand. And let me tell you, it could be any female actor that you sign on for a film. You will be called a diva, no matter what, just because you have to do hair and makeup, which is a job requirement. I'm not even doing it out of interest. It's something that wastes my bloody time. I have to sit
and patience.
Yeah, I have to sit in this hair makeup chair for 2 hours. I have to come 2 hours before every male actor just to get ready. I have to wait for 6 hours, 8 hours, sometimes 12 hours before my close-up is taken, because the man's close-up will be taken first. I have to get out of all of that hair and makeup and travel back home while, probably the guys have just changed their shirt and jeans and driven back home, like they've slept in the car and just gone back home and slept. No, I will have to go and do 10 other things, just to get out of all of that drama that's on me. But these are basics, and I think that in India, it's far too long that women are taken for granted.
I think their hard work has always been overlooked.
Absolutely. Totally overlooked, and it's basics, let me tell you, for example, I have to pay my own hair and makeup a lot of times for projects that I do. It could be different projects, films, ads, this or that. But the production house is always willing to pay the male hero's hair and makeup artist more than my hair and makeup artist. You tell me, how does this sound rational or logical to you?
Yeah, it's true.
So this is what we women in this industry are going through day in and day out. I don't even know what to say, but this is something that we learn to live with. And it is a fight because, it is a male-driven industry. So the man doesn't understand. Sometimes I wonder, these people have wives at home. How do they not understand basics? They have mothers at home, they have sisters at home, they have wives at home. But still, when it comes to being a producer or a director or whatever, how do they not think for us, don't they have empathy for their own daughters? Like, if their daughters, I don't know, going through something or getting ready for something, it could be basic, how is it that they're so unforgiving to their female co-stars? This is what I have never understood.
When people who really love you also say that, Prachi, why aren't you doing more? Why aren't we getting to see you in more projects? Because today is the time when we can see talent in a lot more avenues than what we could before. So how do you answer those things? What is the reason behind this being choosy? Do you think you are not being offered the right films? Was there a phase like that? What is it that goes behind?
It's a lot of factors that go behind saying a yes to a project or saying no. And I think, yes, in the last couple of years, I haven't said yes to projects that came my way for a reason. There were a lot of projects that were very, very big in terms of the setup. They were being made by really good filmmakers. The actors in the project were really good, very, very renowned, big stars, all of that. But I feel like the roles weren't helping me at all. They were doing nothing for me. So I just decided for myself that, something that I'm going to do and yet end up unhappy with. What's the point of doing that? So it was, I felt like those roles were too much older for me. I didn't think that they were right for me at that point. I thought maybe when I'm in my late 40s or something, I could do the roles, because anyway the
heroes. What kind of roles were they?
Most of the films definitely had a child, 8 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. And I said, I'm still a child myself. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I said I can play a 60-year-old or an 80-year-old if I want. I could definitely do that. But I will do that if I like the role and if the film is making my life a difference. If you just want me to do it for the sake of it, because the actors are older, they want a younger heroine. So you end up putting yourself in that spot where, yeah, you are younger. Probably because of you, they will look younger. But then you are playing an older role. How does that work? But it can't just be, there for the sake of it. Yeah, and I think I also did a lot of films where I felt like things were very unfair. So after having done those movies, when you're told that this is the narration, you have the script, or sometimes the role gets chopped down. Sometimes, that's a technical reason. At the end of the day, it's never going to be in your hands. The filmmaker will decide whether this is helpful story or not. But apart from that, when your work is not only chopped, but also like you're never included in the posters, or you're never, they don't stay true to what they told you, you feel cheated. So I feel like after these kind of experiences, I decided that I want to stay away from that kind of work.
When we talk about like this chat show that I do, Her Story, women's stories are often suppressed and silenced. And your story, your film is called Silence. And I want to know that there are so many stories that came out in the last 2 years where they broke their silence and they came out and spoke about the inhuman sexual propositioning that they went through. And it was a tough time for the industry also to wake up to this. Every day we were waking up to some story or the other which was shaking us all up. I want to know, being an actor, being a human, being a woman, everybody goes through it. I am telling you, I think even men and women both go through these kind of little jokes also which are sexual, but we don't really pay heed to it. But we know underlining things like, oh, maybe this is not really comfortable. Yeah. Have you been through such similar spaces in life, and how did you deal with them?
Oh yes, a lot of it. I don't think anybody is spared. It's going to be, the muck is going to be thrown at everyone. But yeah, I guess, to be honest, a lot of times, because I started working when I was 19 in films, I used to get away with a lot of things just because I was very, very young. So I feel like a lot of people tried not to mess with me because I was just too young. However, I saw a lot of rubbish coming my way later, but I knew how to handle it. And I was always very, I think I sort of like sticking to my own work and my business. So that made it easier also. Yeah, whenever I had someone, I guess, make a pass at me or anything like that, I wouldn't tolerate that for sure. If I had directors calling me at odd hours, see, if you have work, if it's very urgent, you can understand that somebody from the team, something, you'll find a way to sort of work around it. That, oh no, something is changed for tomorrow. Can we handle this? And if it's those last minute kind of things, that it's work. But other than that, if you have people calling you like late in the night, then I would either put off my phone or just, switch off my network, or just happily go off to sleep, not bothered about who is saying. So yeah, things like that, it happens all the time, but it's just about how you decide to handle it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And any indirect or direct passes that have been made to you like that?
Sure. I think very direct propositions were also made to get cast in a certain film, a big film. But I have outright said no. And even after that director has called me after saying no, I have still said that I'm not interested in your film, So it's just, I think I'm very honest and upfront. I don't like beating around the bush. So yeah, I'm very upfront about these things.
So that person literally called you and directly said
I need to tell them get lost. Then I say it in the same words. I say get lost.
Yeah.
And I don't say, hey, it's not going to work out, or hey, I don't think I want to do this. Well, no. I think you're being a creep, or you're an asshole. Get lost.
Yeah, but did that director, I want to just ask you this, did that director make a direct passage? Did it literally told you that to get the film, you will have to do certain, like we say, compromise?
Yeah. So whenever that has happened, I've known how to handle it. Like I said, I'm a no-nonsense person, so I try and stick to that. And I think that I also make it clear that there is a line beyond which you don't cross, and I'm approachable only up till here. I can be really friendly and nice, and I personally love all of my co-stars that I've worked with, until now. So I've always had a great rapport with all of them. But I think that this is my line, and I make it clear that you can't cross that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am glad at the position you've reached and the way you've reached there. It takes a lot of hard work, dedication and passion to be where you are. And I always say this, that you are living the common girl's dream. So, a lot of people will be inspired by the journey you've had, the highs and the lows, and still being there, being relevant, and making sure that every hour that you work counts. Like I say, every second counts. I don't know if it's short, but yeah, it says every second counts. I think you've lived it. And yeah, it's always lovely to talk to you. I hope this was in person, but I always say, if you can, and if she can, you can too. So yeah, that's about it. I'm very proud of the person you are.
You're just too kind, okay? You're just too kind, and you know how much people love you and how much I love you and all of us love you. So please keep doing what you do.
Thank you, and I will share it with you when this is out.